You're a rebel in ancient Rome, captured after a failed uprising. Dragged along the Appian Way, you see crosses looming ahead, each holding a dying friend. The crowd mocks as you're nailed up, your pain a public show. This is crucifixion, Rome's brutal spectacle. The sun beats down on a dusty plain in Persia, 6th century BCE. A rebel kneels, trembling, as soldiers haul him toward a sharpened stake. He's a nobody, a thief who dared steal from the king's stores. His punishment isn't just death, it's a message. They lift him, impaling his body on the wood, his screams echoing across the village. Below, onlookers stare, some in horror, others in grim approval. This is no private execution. It's a display meant to burn fear into every heart. The stake, crude and bloodstained, stands tall for days, the man's body a warning to anyone dreaming of defiance. Across the empire, from marketplaces to dusty roads, these stakes multiply, each one a silent enforcer of the king's will. Centuries pass, and the Seleucid Empire rises from Alexander's ashes. In a bustling Syrian city, a traitor hangs from a wooden beam, his wrists bound, his body twisting in the desert heat. The Greeks have taken the Persian idea and made it their own. The traitor's crime, spying for a rival king, is scrawled on a sign above his head. Merchants and farmers pass by, their chatter fading as they glance up. The man's gasps grow weaker, his body sagging under its own weight. The Seleucids don't just kill. They stage a performance, ensuring every onlooker knows the price of betrayal. In the distance, another city prepares the same fate for a rebel leader, his body destined to rot in plain sight. Far to the west, Carthage wages war. On a rocky hill outside the city, a deserter from Hannibal's army dangles from a rough-hewn pole. His comrades march past, heads bowed, as his pleas fill the air. The Carthaginians, locked in a bitter struggle with Rome, can't afford disloyalty. The pole is simple, just a single beam driven into the ground, but it does its job. The man's body, exposed to wind and sun, becomes a grim landmark. Children point, mothers whisper, and soldiers take note. This isn't just punishment, it's a lesson carved into the landscape, a reminder that weakness will not be tolerated. Rome, still a young republic, watches and learns. In 218 BCE, during the Second Punic War, a captured spy faces a new kind of death. Roman soldiers lash him to a wooden frame, a cross of two beams, his arms stretched wide. The crowd gathers, their shouts drowning out his cries. This isn't Persia's stake or Carthage's pole. It's something more deliberate, more theatrical. The Romans have seen the power of public death and twisted it into a tool of empire. The spy's body, nailed and bleeding, hangs outside the city gates, where travelers and traders pass. His crime, written on a plank, sways in the breeze. Enemy of Rome. The message is clear. Step out of line, and this is your fate. By 135 BCE, Rome's crosses dot the hills of Sicily. A slave revolt has shaken the island, and the Republic responds with ruthless precision. Hundreds of rebels, men and women who dare dream of freedom, are dragged to the execution grounds. One by one, they're stripped, whipped, and hoisted onto crosses. A young woman, her hands trembling as she carries her crossbeam, collapses under its weight. Soldiers kick her forward, forcing her to the hilltop. Nails pierce her wrists, and her screams join the chorus of the dying. The crosses stretch across the fields, a forest of suffering visible for miles. To the Romans, this is justice, a public spectacle that keeps the empire's order intact. Years later, in 71 BCE, the Appian Way becomes a gallery of death. Spartacus, the gladiator who led a rebellion of thousands, is defeated. His followers, 6,000 strong, are crucified along the road from Rome to Capua. A boy, barely 16, stumbles under the weight of his crossbeam, his back raw from the whip. Soldiers nail him up, his thin frame shuddering with each hammer strike. The road lined with crosses, buzzes with flies and the moans of the dying. Travelers avert their eyes, but the sight is inescapable. Each cross is a story, each body a warning. Rome's power is absolute, and its spectacles of pain ensure it stays that way. The sun rises over a Roman outpost, 100 BCE, and a condemned man shuffles through the dirt, his shoulders sagging under a heavy wooden beam. He's a pirate caught raiding merchant ships off the coast. His fate is sealed, but the Romans don't just want him dead, they want his death to echo. Soldiers bark orders, leading him to a hill just outside the city gates. The crowd is already gathering. Their murmurs a mix of curiosity and cruelty. The pirate's knees buckle, but a whip cracks across his back, forcing him upright. This is the start of crucifixion, a process so brutal, it's as much a ritual as a punishment. Every step, every tool, every moment is designed to break the body and spirit while the empire watches. At the execution site, the air is thick with dust and dread. The pirate is shoved to the ground, his arms yanked wide to fit the crossbeam he carried. The patibulum. 2 soldiers pin him down as another drives iron nails through his wrists. The metal grates against bone, and his screams pierce the morning quiet. Blood trickles onto the wood, staining it dark. The soldiers work fast, practiced hands lifting the beam and slotting it onto a standing pole. The pirate's body jerks as his weight pulls against the nails. His feet, still free, scrabble for purchase until they too are nailed, one heel over the other. The cross stands tall now, a grim silhouette against the sky, and the crowd settles in, some jeering, others silent. In another city, a slave girl faces the same fate. She stole a loaf of bread, a desperate act in a starving household. Her master, unyielding, demanded the ultimate penalty. Stripped bare, she's lashed to a cross by ropes instead of nails. A slower death, but no less cruel. The ropes bite into her wrists, cutting deeper as she twists, trying to breathe. Her chest heaves, each gasp a struggle as her body sags, compressing her lungs. The soldiers step back, their work done, and the crowd points, some tossing insults, others small stones. Her shame is public, her pain a spectacle, just as Rome intends. Across the empire, the process varies, but the intent stays constant. In Judea, a rebel hangs on a T-shaped cross, his arms tied with coarse rope, his feet nailed to a small wooden block. The block, a cruel twist, lets him push up to breathe, prolonging his agony for days. In Gaul, a thief's cross is low to the ground, close enough for dogs to snap at his dangling feet. The Romans adapt to what's at hand, sometimes a tree, sometimes a simple pole, but the core remains: exposure, humiliation, and pain. The condemned are always displayed where people pass, along roads or in marketplaces, their suffering a living billboard of Roman power. In Rome itself, a deserter from the legions faces a crowd in the forum. His cross is raised high, his crime, abandoning his post, scrawled on a sign pinned above his head. The nails in his wrists and feet are rusted, reused from countless executions before. Blood and sweat mix, dripping to the ground below. His muscles cramp, his body trembles, and breathing becomes a battle. Each push against the footrest eases his lungs but tears at his wounds. Hours pass, then days. Some in the crowd linger, treating the scene like a grim festival, while others hurry by, eyes averted. The deserter's voice fades to a rasp, begging for water that never comes. On the outskirts of a provincial town, a group of bandits is crucified together, their crosses forming a grim row along the highway. One man, stronger than the rest, lasts 3 days, his curses turning to whimpers. The soldiers don't guard them closely, there's no need. The weight of their bodies, the relentless sun, and the crushing pain do the work. Birds circle overhead, waiting. The bandits' families, forbidden to approach, watch from a distance, their grief another layer of the spectacle. Rome's message is carved into every cross. Rebellion, crime, defiance, all end here, in plain view, for all to see. The year is 73 BCE, and a gladiator named Drusus stands in a dusty arena, his breath heavy after a fight. He's not fighting for glory today, but for survival, part of Spartacus's growing rebellion. Freedom was the dream, but now, betrayed and captured, he's dragged through a Roman camp. His wrists are raw from chains, his body bruised from beatings. Soldiers shove him toward a waiting cross on a hill just outside the city. Drusus isn't alone. Hundreds of rebels are marched alongside him, their faces grim, their hopes crushed. The Romans don't care about his name or his story. To them, he's a slave who dared defy the empire. As they nail him to the wood, the crowd beyond the camp jeers, their voices a cruel chorus. Drusus's pain is just another show, his life a warning to others. In a small Judean village, a woman named Miriam weeps as she's torn from her family. Her crime? She sheltered a zealot hiding from Roman patrols. The soldiers don't bother with a trial. Her fate is decided by a centurion's nod. They drag her to the village square, where a rough cross waits. Her hands shake as they tie her wrists with coarse rope, hoisting her up until her feet dangle. The villagers, her neighbors, watch in silence, some with pity, others with fear. Miriam's cries carry on the wind, but no one dares help. To the Romans, she's not a mother or a sister. She's a rebel, her suffering a public lesson etched into the village's memory. Across the sea, in Carthage's ruins, a young sailor, caught pirating Roman trade ships, faces his end. His name is Hanno, and he's barely 20. The port is busy, merchants and travellers passing through. But they all pause to watch as Hanno is stripped and lashed to a cross by the docks. The ropes burn into his skin, and the salt air stings his wounds. His crime, painted on a sign above him, reads pirate. The crowd throws insults, some spitting at his feet. Hanno's eyes dart to the horizon, where he once sailed free, but now his world is reduced to pain and the jeering faces below. His death will linger, a spectacle to deter others who dream of defying Rome's seas. In Rome's heart, a thief named Lucius shivers as he's marched through the Forum. He stole silver from a senator's house, a desperate act to feed his starving siblings. The punishment is disproportionate, but Rome doesn't care. Stripped and scourged, his back a map of bloody welts, Lucius is nailed to a cross near the city's busiest square. The nails tear through his wrists, and his gasps draw a crowd. Merchants, children, even priests. Some mock him, others turn away, but all see the sign above. Thief. Lucius's cries weaken as the hours drag, his body slumping under its own weight. His death is slow, public, a reminder that even small crimes carry a heavy price. Farther east, in a Syrian outpost, a man named Baruch hangs on a low cross, his feet inches from the ground. He's a deserter from a local militia, forced to serve Rome but caught fleeing. The cross is crude, just a pole with a crossbeam, but it's enough. Baruch's arms are tied, his body sagging, each breath a struggle. Soldiers drink nearby, laughing as they watch. A small crowd gathers. Traders, farmers, a few curious children, drawn to the spectacle. Baruch's eyes meet those of a passerby pleading, but the man hurries on. To Rome, Baruch is a traitor. To the crowd, he's entertainment, his pain a grim part of daily life. In a dusty corner of Gaul, a tribal leader named Virching faces his people's conquerors. His crime was rallying his village against Roman taxes. Now, crucified on a hill overlooking his home, he's a broken symbol. The cross is low, his knees bent, his feet nailed to the wood. His warriors, chained nearby, are forced to watch as their leader writhes. The villagers pass by, some weeping, others silent, but all feel Rome's grip tighten. Versing's strength fades, his voice hoarse, his body a public display of what happens to those who resist. The cross, stark against the sky, ensures his defeat is seen by all. The Via Appia stretches like a ribbon through the Italian countryside. 71 BCE. Its stones worn smooth by countless feet. A merchant trudges along, his cart creaking when he stops cold. Ahead, a forest of crosses lines the road. each bearing a rebel from Spartacus's failed uprising. One man, a former slave named Gaius, hangs limp, his wrists nailed to the crossbeam, his body baking under the midday sun. The air hums with flies, and the stench of death clings to everything. Travellers gawk, some whispering, others shouting taunts. Gaius's eyes flutter, barely seeing the crowd that treats his agony like a festival. This is Rome's genius, turning death into a public event, a spectacle that cements its rule. In a bustling Roman forum, a crowd gathers around a raised cross. A young man, a pickpocket caught in the market, dangles from ropes binding his arms. His name is Marcus, and his crime, stealing a purse, is scrawled on a sign swinging above him. Shopkeepers pause their haggling, children tug at their mothers' hands, and soldiers lean on their spears, smirking. Marcus's groans mix with the crowd's chatter, some jeering, others eating bread as if watching a play. The cross stands where all can see, its message clear. Rome's justice is swift, public, and unforgiving. Marcus's pain is not just punishment, it's entertainment. Across the empire in Ephesus, a port city hums with trade. Near the docks, a pirate named Cleon is crucified, his cross positioned where ships' crews can't miss it. His wrists and feet are nailed, blood pooling beneath him. Sailors and merchants pass, some spitting, others tossing pebbles. A sign reads, "Pirate of the Aegean," a warning to those who might challenge Rome's control of the seas. Cleon's gasps draw curious glances, his suffering a sideshow to the city's daily grind. The Romans know the power of placement. Crosses by roads, ports, and markets ensure no one escapes the lesson. In a dusty Judean town, a zealot named Ezra hangs on a cross just outside the walls. His crime, preaching rebellion against Roman taxes, has drawn a mixed crowd. Some locals curse him for stirring trouble, while others, silent, feel a spark of defiance. Roman soldiers stand guard, their presence a reminder of who rules. Ezra's body sags, his breath shallow, but the spectacle isn't just for the town. Travellers on the road to Jerusalem pass by, carrying the story of his death far and wide. The cross, stark against the desert sky, turns one man's punishment into a warning for an entire region. In a Gallic village, a rebel chieftain named Brennus faces his end on a low cross by the river. His people, now under Roman rule, are forced to walk past, their heads bowed. Brennus's arms are tied, his feet nailed, his body exposed to the chill wind. Roman officials watch from a distance, pleased with the crowd's unease. Villagers whisper, some in fear, others in anger, but none dare act. The cross is more than wood and rope. It's a stage, displaying Rome's dominance. Brennus's slow death, watched by his kin, ensures loyalty through terror. Back in Rome, a slave named Livia is crucified near the city's main gate. She poisoned her master's wine, a desperate bid for freedom. Now her cross stands where every visitor enters, her body a grim welcome. The sign above her reads, "Murderer," and the crowd, nobles, traders, even children, points and laughs. Livia's eyes are glassy, her strength fading, but the spectacle lives on. Her pain draws the city together, a shared reminder of Rome's unyielding power. The cross, placed where all must pass, turns her death into a public ritual, binding the empire in fear and awe. The sun sets over Jerusalem, 30 CE, casting long shadows across a rocky hill called Golgotha. A man named Yeshua, a preacher from Galilee, hangs on a cross, his wrists and feet pierced by nails. His crime, written on a sign above, reads, "King of the Jews." A small crowd lingers, followers weeping, soldiers gambling, passers-by hurling insults. Yeshua's breaths are shallow, each one a struggle against the weight of his own body. This crucifixion, one of thousands, feels routine to the Romans, just another rebel silenced. Yet his death will ripple far beyond this hill, planting seeds for a new faith that will reshape the world. The cross, Rome's tool of terror, is about to become something else entirely. In Rome's provinces, the crosses never stop. A thief named Titus dangles from a low cross in a Syrian marketplace, his hands tied, his body bruised from stones thrown by the crowd. His theft was small, a few coins from a merchant, but Rome's response is outsized. The sign above him, smeared with ink, declares, "Robber." Traders glance up, then return to their deals, the spectacle blending into daily life. Titus's pain is public, his death a warning, but the cross's power is starting to shift. Whispers of Yeshua's story spread, and some see the cross not just as punishment, but as a symbol of sacrifice. Along a dusty road in Greece, a slave named Chloe hangs crucified, her crime aiding a fugitive. Her arms are roped to the crossbeam, her feet nailed to the post. The crowd is sparse, mostly travelers who pause to stare before moving on. Chloe's eyes are fixed on the horizon, her body trembling in the evening chill. The Romans want her death to deter others, but in nearby villages, people talk of martyrs, of those who die for something greater. The cross, once a simple tool of fear, begins to carry new meaning, its shape etched into stories of resistance and redemption. In a port city of Asia Minor, a pirate named Arion faces his end. His cross stands by the harbour, where sailors and merchants see his body sway in the sea breeze. His crime, raiding Roman ships, is scrawled above him. The crowd jeers, but some whisper of a man crucified far away, whose death spoke of forgiveness. Arion's gasps fade, his body slumping, but the cross he hangs on is no longer just Rome's. It's becoming a symbol that outlives the empire, carried by those who see suffering as more than punishment. Back in Rome, the Appian Way still bears its grim parade of crosses. A rebel named Sextus, part of a failed uprising, hangs among dozens, his body battered by the whip. The road buzzes with travellers, some mocking, others silent. Sextus's eyes close, his life slipping away, but the cross above him looms larger than his death. Across the empire, followers of the Galilean preacher gather in secret, drawing crosses in the dirt, turning Rome's weapon into a sign of hope. The spectacle, meant to crush, is now inspiring, its legacy twisting in ways Rome never imagined. In a quiet corner of Egypt, a woman named Aisha, a healer accused of treason, hangs on a cross by the Nile. Her wrists are nailed, her body exposed to the sun. The crowd is small, mostly locals who knew her kindness. Her death is meant to warn, but her friends whisper of a greater story, of a cross that means life, not death. As Aisha's breath fades, the empire's grip feels absolute, but the cross's meaning is slipping from its control. Rome's spectacle of pain, so carefully crafted, has sown the seeds of its own transformation, leaving a mark that will endure long after the empire falls. Hey everyone, that's the end of our journey through Crucifixion, Rome's public spectacle of pain. If this story gripped you, smash that like button and subscribe for more dives into history's darkest corners. Drop a comment below. What's another brutal historical practice you want us to explore? Your support keeps these stories coming, so hit that bell and join us next time.